Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are at game number 4 between WhiteRa and 6 Jacks DDE. This time we are here on Tal'Darim Altar. WhiteRa spawning in the upper left-hand position as our yellow Protoss player, and then down over here in the bottom left is DDE as the red Terran player. So right now, this is game number 4 again in the series. WhiteRa winning the first 2. However, DDE managing to sneak out a victory last game with some fantastic harass. We saw WhiteRa do 1 drop last game, 1 Zealot Bomb. But then after that, he completely halted any more aggression. DDE responding with lots of aggression, drop harass, and everything like that, and managed to do a tremendous amount of damage, sniping out 2 of WhiteRa's expansions. So fantastic harass there by DDE. Great way to get himself back in this series, and here we go. Game number 4, and I am certainly excited getting ready to cast this game. Tal'Darim Altar, pretty cool map, very, very large and wide open. Quick expand builds, certainly possible from either player, although very interesting to note. We take a look over here inside of DDE's main base. What is that? That is a refinery first. Yes, it is, ladies and gentlemen. Refinery before that first barracks. That's going to let him get that factory immediately right after that barracks finishes. So certainly we'll be seeing some sort of techie build here from DDE. We'll be very interested to see what he decides to do. Now, as we can see, WhiteRa moving across the map, first checking that upper right-hand position. Now he will be moving into the bottom right location. So it will still be quite a while until he makes his way on over to DDE's base. It's actually going to be a pretty close call to see whether or not DDE manages to get this first racks finished and a Marine out to deny that scouting. Not looking too likely. It is possible, though. Let's see if he manages to actually go ahead and get that scouting deny done. Now back over here for WhiteRa, we do have the first gateway coming on through. The simulator finished right now. Obviously that Cyber X core will be the next step here for WhiteRa. And here we go. The racks is finished right now, and DDE might be able to get that Marine out in time. It's going to be a very close call, although it does look like WhiteRa will be able to make it into the base just barely. Let's see what ends up happening. There's that initial factory as expected immediately after that racks finishes, because he did go refinery first, and unfortunately the Marine only about halfway done. WhiteRa will be able to make it on in, get a full scout, so he will be spotting this very, very fast factory. We'll also be checking the gas, and let's take a look right down over here. So he spots the lack of gas over there, seeing that 1 gas, but did he get the oh no, you serious? Unbelievable. DDE denying that scouting. Unbelievable. WhiteRa did not manage to scout that factory. That is nuts. Unreal. Very nice positioning there. I mean, it was luck in the fact that WhiteRa could have gone up into this position and scouted out that factory, but very nice there. DDE just barely denying that scouting. It looks like it will be a Hellion opening here from DDE, and WhiteRa really has no clue what's coming at him, so this could be very, very dangerous for him indeed. We have a first Stalker coming on through. Second Stalker will be making its way immediately after that. And I wouldn't be too surprised, in all honesty, if DDE decided to come out with the bunker or some early defense. Otherwise, he's actually going to have a very hard time. This aggression that is coming looking to be a bit too strong. We do have 1 Zealot already there. There's the probe, and look at the Stalker coming on through. A second Stalker getting Chrono boosted out as well. We do have a second gateway coming down over here for WhiteRa, so here comes the pressure. And with just this 1 Marine, certainly not enough to deal with this. Now, yes, he can engage with the Hellions. My issue right now is that now WhiteRa knows these Hellions are here. So WhiteRa fully aware of these Hellions, and now the secondary push is getting him all the scouting information he needs. No big deal that he didn't manage to catch it initially. However, that first Zealot does get taken out. A Marauder will be enough to actually shoo back that Stalker. We are seeing a repair go down on these Hellions over here, and 2 more Hellions coming on through. So DDE does still plan to push out with this Hellion aggression now that he has that Marauder in play. However, second Stalker going to make this a little bit difficult right now. We're going to need another Marauder in play for him to actually probably deal with this. Wants to pull back with that low Hellion. There we go. And these Hellions will be working on that Stalker. No, he's going to have to repair down in time. I'm not sure. Very close situation. And yes, he manages to take out the Stalker. I thought the SCV may have gotten the kill, but no, he didn't. It looks like one of the Hellions did. All right, so DDE is now prepared. He's got 4 Hellions. He's got his Marauders coming out, Concussive Shell working on through, and WhiteRa needs to really make sure that he's able to land a critical force field to prevent those Hellions from sneaking in and doing tremendous amounts of economic damage. Now, what does WhiteRa have planned for transition? Nothing yet. He's actually coming out with Gateway number 4 right now, so just wants to make sure he can defend against this aggression, dropping down the robotics at the front. This is going to make preventing those Hellions from getting in much easier right now. So there the 4 Hellions attempt to move on in. However, that Stalker wall plus this Robo in that pylon, enough to stop it from happening. Trying to sneak on in, and oh no, that was a costly mistake. Losing those 2 Hellions. He did kill the sentry, but losing those 2 Hellions was pretty tragic in all honesty. Rallying up with the Marauders here and actually heading back home. This Marauder still meandering about, though, towards WhiteRa's base, and that's pretty dangerous. There we go. Heading back right now. He would have lost that if he kept on going, as we can see right here. WhiteRa with those 6 Stalkers would have had no problem taking it out, plus that sentry there as well. WhiteRa also getting ready to move up into an expansion, quite possibly. First dropping a pylon over here. We do have that robotics situated right there. I'm not seeing the Observer yet, although we do expect that to come sometime soon. And the Observer should be starting to build in just one moment. No, never mind. Skipping the Observer, opting to go first for a Warp Prism. We can see as well DDE moving into his expansion, coming out with the bunker here, going to allow him to defend against any counter push from WhiteRa. We also have a starport up finally for DDE, and we could very well be seeing some drop harass now. We don't have a medevac in play yet, but we should be seeing one sometime soon, so he may attempt to do that. Hellion did move in to try to sacrifice himself for some scouting information. WhiteRa, as we can see, no longer coming out the expansion. He's going to be sticking to the 1 base pressure here, and he'll be trying to push out and do as much damage as possible to DDE, hopefully trying to take him out. Lots of Stalkers getting ready to push across the map. At the same time, here we go with the Warp Prism. Is he going to start warping in the corner of the base? He's got plenty of room to do so. No spotting supply depot. That's a bit of a mistake there, in all honesty, by DD. He should be spotting with something over there just to see something like this coming. Now, we will first see WhiteRa load up 3 Zealots into, looks like it will be a total of 4 Zealots into that Warp Prism, and we have a couple Hellions attempting to move on up, but there we go, full wall off from WhiteRa, preventing those Hellions from doing anything. Zealots are loading up in the Warp Prism, getting ready for that bomb right now. We'll be dropping. Where is he going first? And oh no, DD realizes what's coming, knowing that WhiteRa is just on 1 base, lifting off the command center and pulling back right now, and WhiteRa's Warp Prism spotted by all the Marines, forced back. Looks like the Warp Prism does have the speed necessary to actually make it back home. You see WhiteRa checking that expansion, and as we can see, nothing doing right now. So oh my gosh, the tanks shelling out on the units as WhiteRa was warping in. That was a terrible location to try to warp in, just within the range of that siege tanks. Clearly a mistake, nothing that he intended on doing. We do have an orbital command coming on through here at the front of the wall. This is just attempting to make it a little more difficult for WhiteRa to get actually up on those siege tanks. However, we will see DDE relocate those tanks, get within range, and let's see the shelling go down right now. WhiteRa taking some pretty hefty damage there. Back home, no harass going on at all. DDE isn't doing any dropping or any sort of thing like that at the moment. He is just focused on being able to defend himself from this aggression that WhiteRa is presenting with. Now, again, with this type of wall off here, it's not a full wall off, but it makes it difficult for the Stalkers to get up on those tanks. So this is actually very nice defense here for DDE. We do have 8 Marines moving out, and we do have Stimpack coming as well. Stimpack will be a little bit while longer until it finishes, though. So I'm not sure how much damage he will actually be able to do. WhiteRa is going to be able to warp in some Zealots and Stalkers to be able to deal with this drop once it actually does come. And no, never mind. DDE actually pulling back right now, deciding not to go through with that drop, and maybe realizing that Stimpack was too far away. Wants to wait until it finishes before he does it. We've got a nice conga line out here for WhiteRa, preventing a DDE from actually pushing out anytime soon. But is he going to still stick on 1 base? That's my honest question here. I don't know why WhiteRa isn't taking advantage of this contain right now to just get an expansion himself, and it looks like he will be doing just that, killing off the pylon with that immortal, and there's the Nexus. So WhiteRa with this contain deciding good time to go ahead and get an expansion. Now the only real concern is if DDE can actually break this contain, then he's going to be able to push out with a counterattack that looks to be pretty damaging indeed. We've got the Hellion moving out, trying to scout out every possible expansion that WhiteRa could be at, just to see if he has anything hidden across the map. As we can see, that is not the case there, and DDE getting ready, loading up his Marines now. Now that the Stimpack is just about finished, he will be moving across the map, working his way towards WhiteRa's base to get ready to drop those Stim Marines and mess up the economy of WhiteRa. Couple Stalkers heading back, preparing to deal with the possible drop right now, and they're going to actually have no problem dealing with that. Stalkers continuing to dance forward here outside of the front of DDE's base, and there we go, WhiteRa finally deciding to pull back home. There's the medevac, still hasn't done any work and still hasn't bothered trying to drop. And again, that is certainly something that I would like to see DDE do. And look at that, WhiteRa fully scouting this out with the probe as well as that immortal. So he's got no problem dealing with this, taking down the medevac. and DDE losing the full medevac, all those Marines without doing any damage whatsoever. That, my friends, was pretty rough indeed. Alright, so the next stage of the game, what is this going to be? I honestly expect both players to just macro up right now. WhiteRa should still try to defend himself against any possible additional drop harass, but still, just macroing up is probably going to be the name of the game at this point. It does look like DDE is actually moving down. We'll be destroying these rocks to prepare to move into his third expansion. And here we go, one War Prism, getting ready to do some additional dropping. Now he just has that one Zealot, but he could make his way straight across right now into that main, and another Zealot Bomb could certainly do quite a bit of damage. But again, just seeing macro from both players. Want to take a look at upgrades. We've got weapons level 1 here for DDE's Bio Army. Does WhiteRa have any upgrades? Nothing at the moment. And actually, yeah, there's no forge right now at all, so isn't even bothering getting upgrades right now. Too focused on just building army and trying to get his econ back up. Observer Scout moving out right now. War Prism still sitting over here, not doing much of anything, and here comes the big push from DDE. So the question right now is, can WhiteRa defend against this? I do want to take a quick look at the army tab. It does look like DDE is quite a bit ahead, only about 6 of, oh no, there we go. Finally, WhiteRa getting himself back in it, a little bit closer to where DDE is at. My only concern, though, is the composition. Being so tank heavy, DDE does have a great opportunity, plus those Vikings to deal with those Colossus to do a lot of damage to WhiteRa. So WhiteRa really wants to make sure that he engages properly. We have a couple bunkers attempted to go down right now. Bio taking a couple shots there from those Colossus. They do want to pull back. Here is the Observer Scout for WhiteRa, so he knows exactly what DDE has at the moment. We've got some more Vikings. WhiteRa getting ready to try to break this right now. Tanks sieging up. WhiteRa is going straight for those tanks. There's going to be lots of splash damage right now. Bio trying to stay away from those Colossus. Vikings get sniped down. Vikings sniping down the Colossus, and oh no, WhiteRa losing everything there. DDE is just going to mobilize. WhiteRa, before he loses to this push, decides it's just time to call the GG. Alright, my friends, that was game number 4 here between WhiteRa and DDE. We are now tied up 2-2. We'll be moving on to game number 5. Will be the final game in the series between these two players. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying this series so far. As always, if you like the content, please subscribe. Thank you for watching. Keep watching and keep owning.